Hey, what is going on, guys? So today we're going to do a comparison on both of the Final Fantasy VII Sephiroth figures made by PlayArts Kai. So there's quite a big difference between both of these figures, so I thought today we would take a look. So I hope you guys will enjoy the video. So with that being said, let's get into it. Stay tuned, guys. Okay, so first up, let's take a look at the packaging. So on the front we have a nice photo of the figures themselves, and of course we have the Final Fantasy VII and PlayArts Kai logos. So as for the sides of the packaging, it's pretty much the exact same. We have the name of the film and the game on the sides, and as for the back, we have a couple of screenshots of the figures themselves. Okay, and so here's a look at the inside of the packaging. So first up, we have the AC Sephiroth. So we have a nice high quality image of the figure itself, and down here we have a bit of text. So feel free to pause and read if you guys want to read this. And of course we have the figure itself in a very nice window display packaging to showcase the figure inside the box. And it's pretty much the exact same on the other figure on the Remake Sephiroth. So we have this nice photo of the figure, and down here we have some text, and over here we have the figure itself. Okay, and so here's a look at the accessories that come with the figures. So first up we have the AC Sephiroth. So we have a couple pairs of hands, we have the one wing in the back, and we also have the blade Masamune, and of course we have the figure itself. So right over here we have the remake. So once again we have a couple pairs of hands, we have the blade Masamune, and we also have a spare interchangeable faceplates and the figure itself. Okay, and so just a quick look at my entire PlayArts Kai Final Fantasy VII Remake and AC figures. And of course we have the AC Sephiroth displayed beside the AC Cloud Strife. And up here we have all the remake figures. So here we have the Sephiroth in the back. So I will have a video on every single figure here. So if you guys want to check it out, then it will be on the channel. So don't forget to subscribe and be sure to ring that bell notification so you guys don't miss out on all these Final Fantasy VII figure reviews. And with that being said, let's take a closer look at both of the PlayArts Kai Sephiroths. Stay tuned, guys. Okay, so here's a side-by-side comparison. So we have the original AC Sephiroth, which came out around 2017. And of course we have the new remake, which came out in 2021. As you can see, the remake figure is much taller, he's much bulkier, a lot more beefier compared to the AC version of Sephiroth. But as you can see, there's one big difference between these figures, and that's the fact that the AC version comes with the one wing, which is such an amazing accessory. You know, it's such a shame that this remake version never came with the wing, because it would have been a much better figure. But what about you guys? Which one do you like? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, so let's take a look at the head sculpts. And this is the AC Sephiroth. And I've got to say, this is such a nice head sculpt. I think this is probably a better head sculpt compared to the remake. I mean, the remake head sculpt, it's not too bad, but you know, there's something about it. It just doesn't have the same, you know, the same vibe as the AC version right here. I just think the stare and the paint job around the eyes looks so much more menacing compared to the remake. Now as for the hairpiece, I guess it's pretty similar from the front. We have this super shiny silver hairpiece, and it's pretty much the exact same on the remake. Although I do think the hairpiece looks a lot better on the remake compared to the AC. And so moving down here to the body, and we have this black cloak piece. I mean, the design of the remake is a very similar design. There's really not much of a difference here. I mean, for the most part, they're pretty much the exact same design with the black cloak piece and the pieces of armor. But I would say the detailing on the AC version looks a lot better. You can see it's not completely clean. We have some battle damage in here, like all these scratches, all these nicks and tears in the armor. Whereas on the remake, it's a very clean paint job, a very clean sculpt. And of course we have the hand holding Masamune, which goes all the way down here. And we have the legs and the boots. So as for the remake, I guess it is a little bit different. You know, we have these strange markings on the cloak piece, like all these lines sculpted in there. I'm not really a big fan of it. I don't really think it looks that great. And we also have this really strange belt, like this silver belt. I really don't know what it is, but I am guessing it is a belt. If someone can let me know in the comments below what exactly this is. But anyhow, moving down here, once again, all these belts and buckles sculpted in there, and the boots. And of course the hand holding Masamune. And of course we can't forget about the main difference on both of these figures, which is the one wing which comes with the AC version. That does not come with the remake. Such a shame. But anyhow, let's take a look at the sculpting here. It's pretty nicely detailed. We have all these feather details which are so intricately sculpted in there. And so here's the side of the figures, and we can see quite a big difference in terms of how these figures are built. I mean, as I mentioned before, the remake version is so much bigger. It's a much beefier figure compared to the AC version of Sephiroth. We can see all these lines sculpted into the cloak piece, whereas on the AC version we don't have any lines whatsoever. And as for the other side of the figures, it's pretty much the exact same, although we have a better look at the hand holding the blades, which goes all the way down here, and same goes for the Masamune for AC. Very, very nice. I think there may be a slight color difference in the paint job for both of these blades. Okay, so this is the back of the figures, and we can see quite a big difference in terms of the sculpting of the hairpiece. I've got to say, the hairpiece looks so much better on the remake version of Sephiroth. As you can see, the hairpiece is very full. It's got a nice sculpt in there, and you can see it's painted a very nice shiny silver wash. Whereas on the AC version, the hairpiece looks very loose. You know, it doesn't look like it's all one piece. It looks very, I don't know, it looks like he's missing hair here, which doesn't look that great. So yeah, I just don't think it looks the best on the AC version. It's also made out of like this super weird translucent piece of material, which a lot of these older Players Kai figures had, which I was never a fan of. I just don't think the translucent material looks that great. Anyhow, moving down here to the back of the cloak piece. So I guess there's quite a big difference in the sculpting for the cloak. You can see the AC version is very smooth, whereas on the remake version we have all these patterns, all these lines sculpted in there. And as for the feet, they pretty much look the same. Now as for the wing, I mean, such a big difference. You know, I would say the wing makes the figure so much better. It just makes him stand out a lot more. If the remake version came with a wing, it just would have made the figure a lot better, but the fact that the AC version is the only figure that comes with this one wing makes this a much superior figure. Okay, so let's take a look at the articulation for the figures. So now the figures basically have the exact same articulation, apart from the fact that the remake version has this newly developed double hinge joints at the elbow, but apart from that, they're basically the exact same. So let's take a look at what we have here. Let's begin with the AC version of Sephiroth. Okay, so as for the head sculpt, we have a ball joint in there. We also have a ball joint at the base of the neck. I guess one big difference is the fact that he has the wing. So we have this added articulation. So the wing has 1, 2, I think maybe 3 ball hinge joints in here. So we can move it like so. So yeah, quite a nice range of posability. You can really have it folded out, or you can have it tucked in like so. I just generally like to have it tucked in like this. As for the shoulders, we have these ball hinge joints, and these pieces are made out of a soft piece of plastic which move. So you know, it doesn't really hinder the articulation at the shoulders, which is a really nice touch. We have a swivel at the bicep. We have these ball hinge joints at the elbows, and we have a ball hinge joint at the wrists. As for the torso piece, we have a ball joint in there, but it is pretty difficult to get to because of the cloak piece. Even though it's made out of a soft piece of plastic, it does hinder the articulation. As for the waist, we also have a ball joint in there, but once again, it's pretty restricted. And at the hips, we have these ball ratchet joints. We have a swivel at the thigh, a double hinge joint at the knee, which is pretty tricky to get to because of the cloak piece. Once again, it's made out of a soft piece of plastic. As for the ankle piece, we have this ball hinge joint and we have a hinge joint at the toe. So you know, overall I would say it's pretty decent articulation. It's not the best. So let's put him to the side for the moment and let's take a look at the new remake version of Sephiroth. Okay, so as for the head sculpt, we have a ball joint in there. As for the back of the hairpiece, we have this ball hinge joint at the back of the hairpiece. So you can pose it any which way you want and it will hold that position. So I guess this joint is new, which the AC version does not have. As for the shoulders, we have these ball hinge joints. And once again, these pieces of the armor are made out of a soft piece of plastic, so they can kind of bend. We have a swivel at the bicep. And at the elbow, as I mentioned before, we have this newly developed double hinge joint. So we can really bend the joints all the way up, like so. As for the wrist, we have a ball hinge joint. We have a ball joint inside the torso piece, which is pretty restricted. And we have a ball joint at the waist. We have a swivel at the thigh. We have a double hinge joint at the knee. And this is a pretty nice joint. We can actually bend it all the way up like so. And this our cloak piece is made out of a soft piece of plastic. We have a ball hinge joint at the ankle, and we have a hinge joint at the toe. So yeah, pretty nice range of articulation for both of these figures. Okay, so that's about going to wrap it up for this comparison on both of these PlayArt Kai Final Fantasy VII Sephiroth figures. So now, final conclusion. I mean, it's super difficult to say which Sephiroth figure is better. I think maybe the sculpting is much better on the new remake figure. You know, it's a much better build. It's a very sturdy figure, and it's a nice representation of the character from the new remake. But I mean, the AC version comes with the one wing, which is such an amazing accessory. I would say this is probably the best accessory for any PlayArt Kai figure out there. You can't beat this wing accessory. It's just perfect. So I would say if you can pick up both of these figures, then it's definitely worth the investment. You know, they're both very different figures, and I think you will be happy with either one. But if you can only pick up one, I would say go for the AC Sephiroth. It's just a much better figure overall. So yeah, that's my final thoughts. Anyhow guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this comparison review helped. I will have a video on every single figure here, so if you guys want to check it out, then it will be on the channel. So don't forget to ring that bell notification so you guys don't miss out on all these Final Fantasy VII figure reviews. Thank you guys for watching, have a great day, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Alright, take it easy guys.